Alright Reds, Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here, and this is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp Therapy Online. Think back to when you first fell in love with sports. Was it scoring that goal in football, or maybe it was running faster, hitting harder, and playing smarter than you ever had before? As kids, every game was a new challenge, a new chance to learn and to grow. But what about as adults? Do we still push our limits, learn new strategies, or has the routine of life sidelined our passion? Just like a skilled football coach can transform a football team, therapy can re-energize and refocus your life's goals. Whether you're aiming to regain your former athletic glory or simply want to find joy in your weekend league, BetterHelp is here to support your mental fitness. With BetterHelp's online therapy, you're getting more than just advice. You're gaining strategies to manage stress, enhance focus, and set goals, just like in sports. It's convenient, flexible, and tailored to fit into your training schedule, however packed it might be. Signing up is as simple as lacing up your boots. Fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with one of over 5,000 therapists in the UK. And if you need to switch tactics, changing therapists is easy and free. Rediscover your passion for the game with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/index today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/index. It's time to play your best game yet. BetterHelp, because everyone deserves to be at the top of their game.
The holidays are here, and the Home Depot has everything you need to stay connected with smart home upgrades. Whether you're keeping an eye out for the big guy or keeping an eye on your family, the Home Depot has you covered with great tech, like the Ring Indoor Camera 2-pack with advanced motion detection, two-way talk, and color night vision. Plus, get your smart home devices the smart way with free delivery. Get holiday ready with seasonal savings happening now at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see homedepot.com/delivery for details.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to anfieldindexpro.com and get started today.
Hello, welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC and your daily reminder that the Reds are top of the league. Today is Thursday. It is the 10th of October. And it's the international break, which, you know, if you enjoy that sort of thing, well, congratulations to you. But, Jesus wept, what's going on with you? So, we obviously got the news in recent days that Jurgen has taken on a new job with Red Bull, and he's going to be the global director of football, or something along those lines. It's basically the same role that Gerard Houllier took on. Head of global football. Head of global football is the role. And it will begin on January the 1st on a 4-year contract. It's also been reported that it has an exit clause that allows him to apply for the German national job if and when Julian Nagelsmann steps down. So it does seem likely that Jurgen's career as a club coach is over, but that he does have one last coaching job that he wants to take on, which would be the German national team. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we've all felt for a long time that that was probably what he would do as his farewell tour. This job is a little bit of a surprise. It was expected he'd go to Dortmund and maybe take on a role in the hierarchy there, but this one is obviously going to be far more wide-reaching. They've got Red Bull Salzburg, RB Leipzig, New York Red Bulls, Red Bull Bragantino. There's another club in Austria, Liefering. They own part of Leeds, so I don't know if he's going to have any involvement there. Who knows? I'm sure more will come out and more will be clarified about what he's actually going to be doing. But based on his own statement, he's going to be coaching the coaches, basically. He's going to be a mentor for the coaches. And we've seen with the Red Bull setup, not only do they scout young players and develop them very well. They tend to scout young coaches and develop them quite well as well. And Houllier was a big part of that in the early days. Obviously, in the multitude of roles that Ralph Rangnick had there, that was also something he took on. And now it appears that Jurgen is taking that on. And that's a really good use of his time. It's a really good use of his skill set as a communicator, as an educator. And I think that's something he can thrive at. And it should benefit football as a whole, because we see these coaches come through the Red Bull system and then branch out and go here, there, and everywhere. And you'd be surprised if you start to look around at how many clubs in the top 5 leagues have coaches, not necessarily managers, but coaches in prominent positions that at one time or another were involved with Red Bull. And now Klopp will help guide that. So that's really good. And good luck to him. It'll obviously involve quite a bit of travel, you'd imagine, and I think he'll enjoy that. He seems to be very much enjoying life post-Liverpool. He seems to have de-aged significantly. I mean, he's 57 years of age now. By the time he left us, he looked 20 years older than he had when we hired him by the end of last season. Like, he really did. You could tell things had taken their toll. It all started with COVID. And obviously his mother passed away. And there was a lot of talk at that point that he was considering retirement, that he just had fallen out of love with it, that other things were taking priority. His desire to spend more time with his family, guilt that he felt for not having spent more time with his mother, and that maybe he would walk away, but he stuck it out. But you could tell in the last couple of years it wasn't the same guy. He didn't have the same fire for it. He wasn't taking as much responsibility for it. The style of play changed drastically, which was very clear to everybody. And it was clear that he had taken a bit of a step back. So ultimately, Jurgen left at the right time. He left at the right time for him. He left at the right time for the club. And now he's got a new passion project. And we're moving forward in our own direction. And I think it's worked out for everybody. It is kind of funny that the announcement of this job came so close to the announcement of his anniversary of taking the Liverpool job. Obviously took the Liverpool job on the 8th of October 2015. This job gets announced on the 9th of October 2024. So he's obviously not taking it up yet, but that is just kind of interesting that it doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of interesting. Yeah, but good luck to him. I really hope it goes well, and I do hope he does take the national team job at some point, because I'd be really interested to see how he would do. And I think when you look at the national team squad for Germany, there's so much talent on the horizon that it really would make a prime opportunity for him to potentially win the World Cup. Like, we know they're going to have Musiala and Wirtz, who... Is there any top 5 list of the best 21 and under players right now that doesn't have both of them? They're outrageous talents. Absolutely outrageous. Factor in Pavlovic, who's very, very promising. You factor in Max Bayer, who went to Dortmund in the summer. You factor in Gruda, who's gone to Brighton and looks... If you saw him last season, he looks a real promising player. Like, him, Musiala and Wirtz behind Bayer, that might be Germany's front four for the long haul. There's some talented young defenders. There's always talented young German goalkeepers. The midfield is the one area where maybe it's not as deep, but there's a couple of players coming along, like Pavlovic, like Rocco Ritza at Borussia Mönchengladbach, where it does appear like there's real promise there. So allow Nagelsmann to kind of oversee the last days of Neuer and Kimmich and Muller and a few of those other players, those powerful presences in the German national team who've controlled quite a lot. And then Jurgen walks in, fresh start, build around Wirtz and Musiala. It could go perfectly for him. It could go absolutely perfectly for him. What have we got on This Is Anfield? Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid in January has rightly been branded nonsense. So, Sport and Marca have both suggested that they might accelerate the process of trying to sign him and go for him in January. Jimbo Pierce said that there's zero chance Trent will go anywhere in January. I feel like if the club know he's going to leave next summer, if they get to January and realise this guy's not signing a new contract, and Real put 50 million on the table, 40 million on the table, kind of feel like they might have to take it to help fund a replacement. I have no idea who that replacement would be, but I don't feel like you can let him walk away for free if there's an alternative. If there's an alternative where you can get a decent fee, certainly not the fee that would represent his true value, but a decent fee nonetheless, which 40 million for a right back is still a good fee, that I kind of feel like you have to take it.
The holidays are here, and the Home Depot has everything you need to stay connected with smart home upgrades. Whether you're keeping an eye out for the big guy or keeping an eye on your family, the Home Depot has you covered with great tech, like the Ring Indoor Camera 2-pack with advanced motion detection, two-way talk, and color night vision. Plus, get your smart home devices the smart way with free delivery. Get holiday ready with seasonal savings happening now at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see homedepot.com/delivery for details.
Again, I don't know who we would go for if he was to leave. I think you look around at other right backs. Ashraf Hakimi, he's an outstanding player. He might be a terrible set of lads, though. There's rumours and reports and allegations. Pedro Porro at Spurs I really like, but I don't think they'd sell him. Jules Koundé, if you wanted to go with a defensive right back, somebody more along the lines of what Arne had with Gertruda, Jules Koundé could make sense. He's close with Ibu. So, yeah, if Barca needed to sell him, there has been reports that he could be one that's available. City obviously won't sell Rico Lewis unless they get relegated to the National League. Diogo Dalot would be a no-go. Malo Gusto's interesting, but Chelsea can't really sell him because they can't rely on Reece James. Tino Livramento would have been very, very interesting. And I would still be inclined to kick the tires with Newcastle just to see if there's a possibility. Reece James is always injured. Tomiyasu's always injured. Gertruda moved in the summer. He's not quite good enough anyway. I'm not a huge Stanisic fan, but, you know, he might be interesting. Mazraoui would obviously be a no. Michael Kouyaté of Feyenoord. No, not Feyenoord. Fiorentina. What am I saying? Of Fiorentina. He might be one to take a strong look at. He really might be one to take a strong look at. Outside of that, you'd really be reaching. You really would be reaching. I mean, Jan Kutus is talented. He's still got a lot to prove, as does Coyote, obviously. Vanderson, he's very, very hit and miss. wouldn't be overly sold on bringing him in. He's very attack-minded, which isn't a problem, except that he's not necessarily the most effective player from an attacking point of view. And I don't think you can just say, oh, well, we have Conor Bradley, so it's just Conor Bradley. Conor Bradley, for me, is quite a way off being ready to play week in, week out. And I know Coyote is younger than him, but he's more experienced than him at a high level, having played so many games in Serie A last season. I also think his ceiling is probably higher than Bradley's. But Bradley's still going to be a really, really good backup right back to have. I'd be interested to see if they'd go for someone like Koundé and then buy an attack-minded left back. Someone like a Ray Aït-Nouri. Koundé, Ibu, Virgil, Aït-Nouri. I mean, it's pretty strong. It is pretty strong. It's obviously not what it could be with Trent. But if it was Trent, you'd want the left back to be more of a Koundé profile. So someone like Hincapié or whoever. Just for balance. Livramento is interesting though, and I do wonder if we might kick the tires on him, just depending on how Newcastle's situation is. Clubs are gambling on players. Liverpool can learn from John Barnes' transfer. That is a piece written by Sam Milne. Give that one a read. This is fun. Liverpool's 15 most expensive transfer sales of all time. So Javier Mascherano went to Barcelona in 2010. Fair to say he was quite the success for them. Multiple league titles, Champions League. Key player for them for a number of years. Danny Ings to Southampton. Quite up and down for Southampton. Had, I think, one good season for them. Obviously a decent player, but we got really good value for a fella that we overpaid for, paying $7 million at the time. We got great value for him. That was one of Edwards' good deals. Ryan Brewster, $23.5 million. We absolutely fleeced Sheffield United in the summer of 2020. Dominic Solanke, $24 million, all told. Yeah, I think we did well out of that one. Like, we paid $5 million for him. He wasn't good enough for us. It took quite a long time for him to be good enough in the Premier League with Bournemouth. So I don't think we can have any regrets on that one. I think we did well out of that sale. And ultimately Bournemouth did as well. But it took quite a long time for that to realise. Like, for a number of years, it looked like another Brewster. Well, he was before Brewster, but it looked like a similar situation with Brewster. Though he did better in the Championship than Ryan Brewster's done since joining Sheffield United, where he's had multiple seasons in the Championship where he's done nothing. This past summer, Sepp Vandenberg to Brentford, a great profit for us. We paid 4.4 million. He played 4 times, and we got 25 million. Like, we have absolutely done well there. Mamadou Sakho, we sold for 26 million. I think we bought him for 17. So we made a good profit. He'd obviously fallen foul with Klopp because of, well, a multitude of different things, but unfortunately there was no way back for him. So out he went. Fabio Carvalho, again, this past summer. Again, we made a huge profit for a player that wasn't good enough to play for us. And we've, like with Sepp, we've included a sell-on clause, so there's more money to come if he's a success there. Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid. We made a good profit, considering we bought him for 10.5, sold him for 30. We won a European Cup with him. But it's still disappointing that we had to sell him. He went on, obviously, to be great for Real and then for Bayern after that. Christian Benteke blocked at Liverpool, and yet we somehow made a profit. That speaks to Michael Edwards more than anything else. He did not do particularly well at Palace for the majority of his time there. Sadio Mane, 35.1 million. The truth is we waited 2 years too long to sell Sadio. We got what we thought at the time was a low price, and it was a low price compared to what he would have gone for 2 years previously. But in 2022, it was actually a fair price, and you saw that by him flopping at Bayern. Fabinho, 40 million. So I think 1 million less than we paid for him. But his legs are gone, and he hasn't been particularly good for Al Ittihad since joining them. So, Raheem Sterling, 49 million. This one will never not annoy me. We did make a huge profit, though, so that's good, but he's gone on to have a tremendous career. Obviously now with Arsenal after a failed spell with Chelsea, but was brilliant for City and was one of the best players in the league for a number of years. Fernando Torres for 50 million. We doubled our money on him, and we knew his knee was done. We knew his knee was done. And Chelsea signed him without doing a medical and without checking his knee. And he was never anywhere close to the player that we'd seen. Luis Suarez, 65 million. We paid 24 for him, I think. So good profit again. He's the best player on this list by a considerable margin, truly. And it was phenomenal for Barca. Absolutely phenomenal for Barca. And remains the best player, I think, that has ever played for this club. Not the greatest player because he doesn't have the longevity, but the best player to play for this club, I think, is Suarez. And then Coutinho, the jewel in Michael Edwards' crown. Bought him for 8 million, sold him for 147 or whatever it was. What have they got here? 142. Look, he went on and earned a fortune and won a bunch of titles. He won a bunch of league titles. He won a Champions League. He had success. He had more success than we've had. And we invested that money in Alisson and Virgil, and well, more in Alisson and Fabinho. But look, it all worked out for us, ultimately. It didn't work out perfectly for him. But it's a weird thing, because he went there and he was actually quite good to begin with, and then it all started to drift a little bit. But nothing went well for Barcelona over a couple of years. Like him, Dembele, Griezmann, signed them all for big money. All tremendous players. Well, Dembele is a tremendous talent. He's never really shown he's a tremendous player. Griezmann's a tremendous player. Phil's a tremendous player. And yet, it just didn't work there for whatever reason. I don't think they had the right mentality for Barca, especially at that time with it being so Messi-centric. But it worked out for us. So, yeah, there you go. Right, anfieldindex.com. What have you got for us? We're still boycotting Anfield Watch, by the way. A dreadful set of lads, other than Maguire, who's a good fella. The rest of them can just take a long walk. On Anfield Index, there is a piece about Trent. There is a piece about Aurelien Tchouameni, a piece about an injury boost with Harvey Elliott ahead of schedule. There's a piece about the Red Bull job for Jurgen, and there's a piece about Virgil and reports that he is nearing agreement on a new contract with the club. There's the latest Under Pressure. If you haven't heard it, Dan Kennett hosts Cy Brundish, Hamza, and Phil Barter. It's very, very good. Make sure you give that a listen. And then there is the latest Scouted, where myself and Carol picked up Team of the Year so far through 7 games. Probably not the team you would expect to pick. We went for kind of a broad scope and tried to be more inclusive, looking at teams further down the league. But it's good. We had a good laugh. And we are recording again today, which I assume will go out tomorrow. So that's it. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement. and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.